Hi, Chloe. Thanks
Yeah.
for hi, thanks for agreeing to do our interview, our chat. Um, yeah, so I guess first, sort of, how did you get into singing? How long have you been singing? When did you realize it was a passion?
Okay. Well, when did I start singing? I've always been a bit of a singer. To be fair, my mom, um, I kind of grew up in a very sing-songy household, so she was always making songs out of things and always singing. And then when I moved to England, my dad is a writer, basically.
Oh, okay.
So it's the perfect sort of it's a perfect what's the word when two people join, I don't know, but it sort of helped with my songwriting and my singing. So I mean, they've kind of just inspired me. But when I moved over to England, I was kind of like brainwashed by my dad with all the music, because I grew up with country.
Okay.
And so in country music, everybody can sing.
Yeah.
You know that they're really good singers. If you like country or not,
Yeah.
everyone can sing.
Yeah.
They can sing their hearts out. So I grew up having very high standards for singing, and then I came over here,
Yeah.
and obviously since my dad is a writer and he kind of brainwashed me to listen to Kirsty MacColl and the
Oh,
Smiths, and Gene and stuff, uh, he never tolerated bad lyric writing. I
okay.
wrote my first song when I was 7,
Oh, wow.
and the melody was great. I can still hum it today, but like you'll never hear the lyrics because they're so bad. But the next song I wrote after that one, it just kind of kicked off from there. And yeah, I think every song I've released since then, I mean, every song I've written since then is practically, most of them have been like released because I've been proud enough to release them and stuff. So it's kind of just it's grew up from a non-tolerance of of badness
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah. I mean, the song that we added to the playlist of Peterborough, I think you told me you wrote that when you were 12. And that's a hell of a piece of songwriting for a 12-year-old to write.
Was that Broken Souls?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
I wrote that when I was 12. Yeah. That's
That's
about
just listening to your lyrics. It's not shallow stuff. It's quite deep. So I was listening to Change this morning, and it's big stuff for your age, and it's big stuff for your years. You know, there's a lot of hardened, conditioned people that are in their kind of 30s and 40s that couldn't write songs like that with such depth and such kind of meaning. So it's a hell
thank
of a bit of songwriting. It really is.
Actually, I wrote a song not too long ago. I think it was like around lockdown time. I wrote like 12 songs during lockdown. So I wrote Chains during lockdown. But when I started learning teaching myself piano. But I wrote this song called Without Him, and it's not released yet. It's going to be on this album that I'm releasing at the moment,
Yeah.
and I really wanted it to be, but then we decided to replace it with another song that I also love called Crowd Pleaser, which should be out soon. And
Mm.
that's really like it's a fun sort of jazzy, sort of groovy, and it's if you listen to the lyrics, it's probably one of the deepest ones I've written so far,
Yeah.
kind of. But yeah, and it's just kind of you can sort of groove to it. But
Does it sound a bit different then if you're saying it's a bit groovy? Because a lot of your stuff is quite
yeah.
sort of peaceful and quite kind of sort of pianos and guitars and stuff. So is this a bit different for you? Is it a bit sort of more out of your comfort zone if it's a bit more jazzy and a bit more upbeat?
Well, to be fair, nothing's really out of my comfort zone. I try and not confine myself to a genre because people will always say, you know, what genre are you? And I'm just like,
Mm.
I don't really know because I've written like a salsa song and I've written a jazz song, I've written a rock song, I've written ballads.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I used to mainly write ballads. I've written a country song though. Um, but I don't want to be confined to that. I want to try out new things. And in fact, the first song I released from this album called Sorry, and that's sort of lo-fi, a bit modern, sort of.
Yeah.
So I try not to confine myself, and I have
That's what
a
I
lot
find
of
with music now, from doing the reviews and going to a lot of gigs, is everyone seems to be very much they want to put music in a box and say it's this genre. But when you look at it,
yeah.
no artist is just one genre. I had an album the other
Mm,
day to review, and that was like that is pop punk. And I was listening to it and I thought, it's not pop punk. It might have elements of it, but I don't think music needs putting in a box anymore. I don't think you need to be able to
that's the
classify
thing.
it. And I think that's
And
what makes it more accessible to everyone is if you don't classify. Because if you say to someone, "Oh, it's ballads," "Oh, I don't like ballads. I'm not going to listen to it." But if you don't give it that overall heading, people are more inclined to listen to it. So yeah.
I think so. I mean, I've had a lot of gigs and people if it's a lot or like a three-way gig or something like that. The person running it will usually say, you know, what kind of genre are you, what kind of people do you listen to, and what kind of people do you sound like?
Yeah.
So, you know, people can know who you are, and then they'll
Yeah.
know if they want to come, because they won't want to come if they don't know what you sound like. And I'm like, that's not really true though.
No.
I mean, I don't know who I sound like. I certainly don't try to sound like anyone. You know,
No.
people say, "Oh, you must listen to Alanis Morissette." I've had that
Mm.
maybe a few times, but
Yeah.
I've never listened to her in my whole life, and
Really.
I couldn't name one of her songs, to be fair.
She's very good. You
Which
should
I
listen
don't
to her.
know. If she's good, then I'll probably give her a listen. But
She's very good.
you know, just because I'm a woman, and you know, people are very confined with women in the music
Oh yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
They like telling you exactly who you sound like, so
Oh yeah.
that they're comfortable with it. Because if
Mhm.
they say, "Hey, you sound like this," then that'll make them more comfortable. Because if they heard something new with a woman, they'll be like, "No way."
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It shouldn't do in this in sort of now, but I think there is times when being a woman does hold you back from certain genres and certain kind of things, because it's always been like punk and stuff. It's always been a very male dominated genre. So
yeah,
it does kind of, oh, it's a woman. You're like a unique thing if you're in that genre as a female, which
it's
shouldn't
very
really
much
be.
a male
Yeah.
dominated industry, because I
Yeah.
mean, I'm part of the problem, because over half the people I listen to are males as
Mm.
well. But the thing is that there's not a lot of this is what my dad always tells me, because if you go to a school, or like a primary school or a secondary school or anything, the best singers are always going to be female. They're
Mm.
always going to be female. So tell me why over probably 3/4 of the music industry is dominated by males, because
Yeah.
surely they could be better singers or better songwriters
Yeah.
sometimes. I
Yeah. What
mean,
I find quite interesting with me, my music taste, I'd say my favourite bands are all male, but actually when I'm picking music to listen to, I'll almost always go for a female voice. I nearly always pick sort of female fronted bands. I like, as a woman, I like that strong female character to listen to.
hmm,
Whatever genre, be it punk or be it indie or whatever, I like to have another female to kind of look up to when I'm
yeah,
listening to music. It's sort of more relatable. As a girl, you can relate to a girl more than you can maybe relate to a man, I think.
mm,
So
mm.
you were saying you moved from the States. When did you move across, and where did you move from?
So I lived in Oregon, a little small town in Oregon, very confined and small and peaceful. And I moved over here when I was I think 8. So I've been here for 8.5 years now.
Yeah.
But I've still very much kept hold of my accent.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I was expecting sort of a Peterborough type accent, and I was surprised when I didn't get a Peterborough accent when you first started talking. So
Right.
it makes sense now. So is it
Yeah, well,
your
sorry.
dad's British, is he?
My yeah, my dad is British, but my mom is American. So obviously, because she lived in America for practically all of her life, she's been here exactly the same time as I have,
Yeah.
which is 8.5 years. And 8.5 years is not going to change her accent in the slightest.
No.
So I guess I kind of feed off of hers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty sure, probably. But also because I have changed my accent a little bit. Because when I go back to America, sometimes they'll tell me that I sound a bit British,
Oh,
and I'll be
okay.
like, really?
Yeah.
I don't sound British at all to people in the
No,
UK.
you definitely sound American to me. I wouldn't say there's any
Definitely.
real Britishness in your
Yeah,
accent. No.
yeah. They're like trying to find elements. They're saying, "Oh, you sound really posh when you say that." I'm like, I don't think I do.
Oh, yeah, I think you sound posh, but you sound posh with an American accent.
I sound posh.
Yeah, you sound well, not necessarily posh. You sound well spoken.
That's something I've never heard anyone say to me before.
Yeah, you've got a really well spoken sort of nice accent. Yeah, definitely.
Nice, thank you.
Must be a different world coming to Peterborough though.
Not really, because I mean, I live in Stanford, so I mean,
Oh,
I'm in Peterborough most of the time. Uh,
Stamford's lovely though. I used to live up that way, and Stamford's really lovely. It's a really pretty little town, really kind of sort of
yeah,
picture postcard English sort of town.
definitely.
So
It
yeah.
is getting worse with a few people, though. For example, I saw like I think it was two 12-year-olds being chased by the police the other day.
Oh,
Like about 5 police cars and 2 police vans. I'm not joking. It was
wow.
intense.
Yeah.
But
It's getting quite good for music as well, because is it Mama Liz? They seem to be having a lot more music than when I used to live up that way.
yeah, they have a lot more things coming around. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you played there at all?
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was talking to one of my friends who lives in Peterborough still, and he's seen you do the Met Lounge. So have you played there quite often?
The Met Lounge. Oh yes, I played there 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, played there 3 times so far. It's a really nice place. I love that
It's a
venue.
great little venue. I used to go clubbing there when I lived in Peterborough, and
Everyone says that.
yeah, it's a great little place. It's quite a nice sort of environment. The people that go there tend to be quite nice. It's quite a nice sort of place to be. So yeah.
All the cool people come up.
And then your tour with James Walsh, how did that come about? How did you apply to do that, or did he approach you, or?
Well, it was kind of a two-way thing because I went to this night for Ukraine set up by Martin Rossiter, which I was gonna wear a Martin Rossiter shirt. I ended up not, but from Gene, and he sort of set up a night for Ukraine and got a ton of comedians and musicians to come and play.
Yeah.
And James Walsh was playing as one of the acts. And I took some photos and I posted it online, and then he said, could I have these photos? And I was like, well, now's my chance. I'm just gonna flat out there, I'm just gonna ask, can I support you?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. And then he listened to some of my stuff, and then he said, and you can support in London as well. And I was like, oh wow, thank you so much. Wow. So it was and the gigs, they went down amazingly. The first night was my favorite, because the first night in London was just they were so kind, the audience, and I got a lot of claps and I got a standing ovation, which is crazy for a tour support.
Yeah.
But yeah, and all of the James Walsh gigs went incredible. It was so much fun. And I hope. Well, I played the Bodega in Nottingham, and then I played the Dark Horse in Birmingham and the Slaughtered Lamb twice in London. And I love the Slaughtered Lamb. That was a really cool venue.
Yeah, I've not heard of that one.
It's like a gentle pub, but then and then you go downstairs and it's like this dark sort of room with, it's very mysterious. It's cool.
Oh wow, it sounds like a really, really cool venue. Was it seated?
It's really cool. Sorry?
Was it a seated gig? Or was it standing?
Sort of. It was sort of both. Some people stole some seats, but it was mainly standing. But the first night a lot of people were sitting down, but the people who were sitting down got up to cheer. So that was really kind. And I think the rest were standing gigs. So but yeah, it was absolutely incredible, and it was so much fun, and hopefully I can support him again, or maybe Starsailor. That would be awesome.
Yeah, because they're going on quite a big tour, aren't they, to celebrate 20 years? I can't remember what the album's called now.
I think so. Right? Yeah.
I think it's 20 years. Yeah. And this is all influenced from your dad, sort of Starsailor, Jeans, that all come from your dad?
Well, actually, to my memory, I never heard of Starsailor before the Night for Ukraine thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up with Gene, and Gene was definitely my favorite, and I grew up with a lot of Martin Rossiter solo sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, big fan of Gene, but I never really listened to him solo. I see it's because Gene is quite a niche one of the bands for you to say you like, because although they were Britpop, they were always a bit more kind of outside of the norm and outside of the standard ones. So yeah, that's why when you sort of talking about Gene, I was surprised that you were they were one of the bands you were talking about.
Well, I mean, I love Gene, I love Martin Rossiter, but I love the big ones as well. I love the Smiths. You know, I mean, I guess at the time they were a bit niche as well, but you know, nowadays they're like everybody knows them.
There's a love-hate thing with everyone with Morrissey, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of things with Morrissey, but I think just music-wise, I think I love the Smiths. I don't really focus on all the stuff outside of music, because I feel like a musician's job is just to be a musician. So that's when I grow up, I'm gonna, or even now, I'm aiming to not say anything politically or anything, because my opinions aren't that interesting.
Exactly.
And everyone has an opinion, and it's all fine.
It needs to be about the music. It needs to be about
Exactly.
not what scandal you've caused off the stage or what
Yeah.
you're. I think it needs to all be about how you are when you perform and how you come across when you perform, not what you ate for breakfast kind of thing. So
Exactly. And your opinions on the economical state of the world or
exactly,
something like
it
that.
just
It's
it
like,
doesn't matter. It's yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I've got
save
friends
that
who
for the politicians and stuff like
yeah.
that.
I've got friends who are very much into music and they're into every intimate detail about the musician. They need to know really intimate. I think I don't. It's not that I don't care. I just don't hear that when I'm listening to a song. When I put Spotify on and I'm listening to a song, I don't hear whether they're liberal or whether they're Labour or whether they're into
It
this or
doesn't
into
matter
that.
to me. It really doesn't, unless it really starts interfering with the music and they're just screaming about their opinions, and it's like,
Yeah.
I like the song, but the lyrics, they're a bit out there.
Sometimes a
But
political song and to channel a bit of that kind of thing is okay,
yeah,
but
I think so. But I think when they shove it in your face, or any opinion whatsoever, it doesn't even matter if you
yeah,
agree with it. It's
yeah,
just I do feel like that should be reserved, unless you are putting across a very valid point that does need to be
yeah.
like addressed. But
Yeah, I mean, I went to Neck of the Woods festival a couple of weeks ago, and there's a band played there called the Snuts, and their whole set revolved around "Fuck the Jubilee." And I thought, you're ramming this down everyone's throat. In between every song, it was kind of the same contrived thing, and I thought it's not about that. It's about what you're singing, and you're ruining
yeah,
your set by being so outwardly opinionated that you're spoiling your own set. I mean,
that's what I think, because I think the whole point of music is to forget about things, and I think
exactly.
if you just pay attention to things that are all the other things that are going on in the world, you just end up mixing the two, and it just gets intertwined again, and you
Yeah.
just want to separate those once in a while.
Absolutely. Music's supposed to be a release. There's supposed to be a sort of bit of freedom from reality, not sort
Yeah.
of an extension
But
of it.
whether that's good or bad, whether you just need to cry in bed and just listen to something depressing, but it just brings you into a
Absolutely.
whole different world. You
Yeah,
cannot be sad at all and then suddenly burst into tears because of a song.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when a song's powerful. If a song can move you to tears or give you goosebumps or whatever, just from
Mm,
listening to it, that's a hell of a bit of songwriting. Because
definitely.
yeah, if 3 minutes of song can do that, then it's powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were saying to me that you were doing your exams. How did they go? Your
Well,
mock.
I've only gotten one paper back, and I thought I did really horribly in that paper, but I got an A star, 1 mark off an A star, and 1 mark off an A star.
Oh wow.
So that exam went okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it went great.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about the other ones, but if that was my worst exam, then I'm hoping that I did much better than the
Yeah.
rest. But psychology is a bit of a fooler, because when you think you've done really well, you've done really bad, and then when you think you've done really bad, you've done really well.
Yeah.
So I'm just completely neutral and just begging for the best. But I did put my all into the exam, so
Yeah.
I hope.
It must be hard juggling music and going out on gigs
Yeah.
and writing with school. Do you have sort of dedicated times when you do work and then dedicated times when you do music, or does it just you just kind of got a system going that fits it all in?
Sort of yes and no. I think my parents are very, very helpful, because they take all the weight off me that doesn't need to be on.
Yeah.
So when I get bombarded with messages from a person, then they'll sort it out if it's to do with music wise. If I'm working, that is.
Yeah.
But obviously, because A levels is a lot of hard work, you do need to be studying all the time. So and obviously I have friends and stuff like that. So there's so many things that I need to be paying attention to at once. But I think I really got the hang of it a couple years ago. So I've sort of just been doing the same thing. I don't really have dedicated times, unless I do have, like, you have a gig at this time, you
Yeah.
need to leave the house by this time, you have an open mic to run at 7:30 tonight. Or you have an open mic to go to. So I guess it is sort of set times.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I love a good list. So I write down all the things that I need to get done, and And then I put things on the list that I've already done so I can just have something to cross off or whatever. And so it looks like I've done stuff. And then I just sort of move along, I guess. Sort of go with the flow, I guess.
Were you aspiring to go to university, or are you just going to try and do music full time when you finish your A levels, or what's your sort of longer term plans?
It's still a decision I need to make. I'm sort of leaning towards just kind of getting on with life. I said the other day, it's kind of, I don't know if it's cringy or deep or if it's really smart, but I was thinking the other day that kind of experience is probably going to be better a teacher than somebody telling me what can happen in the music industry and stuff like that. I think I'd rather learn those things. So I'm sort of edging towards not going to university, but also I do have to apply to a few places. But hopefully if I get really good A-level marks, which the marks look promising. And I'm only in year 12, so I have another year to go. But apparently year 13 is harder, so who knows. But I'm going to try and apply to the best universities possible. I don't know if I'd even study music though, so it is something that I need to think about.
I think you have to be careful. Not that I ever went to university, but I think you have to be careful with something like university and doing what's your passion, that you don't get so much theory rammed down your throat that you end up losing the passion because you've got so sick of talking about it and talking about the theory. I think you have to really think, is this going to be the right thing? Am I going to get so sick of music at the end of it that I'm not going to ever want to sing again? So I think the thing is, if you've got another year of school, you don't kind of know where you're going to be ending up. You might be on headline tours by then. So,
I mean, who knows? But yeah, I think the same. It's like I personally I don't know like any theory whatsoever, so I can't read music and I can't really speak about music in that way, unfortunately. I just feel what's right. No, I mean,
that's probably the best way.
I mean, even though it sounds cringy, you just you just feel it. You kind of tell the truth, make it rhyme.
It doesn't sound over rehearsed then. It doesn't, it sounds like because you can hear, when you listen to your music, you can hear the passion. You can't necessarily hear I can read music really well, I can write all the theory down, which I don't think music does. That's what we're going back to before. Music doesn't need to be about lots of theory and lots of opinions. It just needs to be about the way it makes you feel making it and the way it makes the person listening to it feel. So I think you've got that down.
That's the thing. I've heard a lot of people that I know who have studied music, when they listen to a piece of music, they're like, oh, it goes to this and then this key and then I like that arpeggio or whatever. I don't know what that they did there. And but a few of them anyways, not all of them, but a few of them will end up just not listening to the music. Which is, I mean, do whatever you like with music. I personally feel like you should listen to the song. And with this whole new thing of it was gonna happen inevitably, and you can't stop it, but when you skip through songs halfway through to listen to the next one, and streams and stuff, it all sort of becomes like temporary. So that's why I personally like making albums and stuff, but I'm getting into a groove because I've been told not to write albums a few times, but I'm getting into a groove of releasing singles and then bringing them out as like an album. So that's what I'm doing at the moment with my album Love, Life and Lies, which I've been releasing songs slowly and surely from that with music videos, because then it's also not temporary and you can go back and watch them. But even my old CDs, My Time in This, Beneath Safer Skies, which is the charity album, buying them, if that's raising funds, which I'm also raising funds for Cystic Fibrosis New Zealand.
Oh wow.
With this song called Breathe. That was almost a disaster. My dad is giving me a duster. But this is a long story, but it's sort of come about with having something physical and selling something and raising funds for something. And I just feel like it's much more it's not temporary, and it's in your hand, it's physical, and it's precious, and it's treated with respect.
I must admit, I've gone down the road of Spotify and not really buying records, and I very much miss going in. When I was at college, I used to go into Virgin Records and into HMV, and I'd buy all vinyls. I'd buy all the new singles that came out. I'd walk around the shelves, and sometimes I'd just pick an album up because I liked the cover, and I'd think, I'll just get this and see what it's like. Sometimes it was a hit, and sometimes it was a miss.
Yeah.
But I definitely miss, now you get on Spotify and there's just so much choice. And I think sometimes you can be guilty of listening to the same things that you know, because
Definitely.
there's
Yeah.
just too much on there. You just get overwhelmed by, or just listen to playlists and just listen to one or two songs by an artist, because there's just so much. I can't remember the last time I picked up an album and I started it on track 1 and I listened to it through to the end. I might skip through, I might listen to the ones I like best, I might listen to something else halfway through the album. It's just kind of like, you don't listen to music how you used to listen to music, and I think it's a real shame.
But that's the thing about albums, is that when you listen to an album, you pick your favorite songs and then you go back and listen to it again, and you have different favorite songs, and the songs that you didn't like before have suddenly connected to you in a different way.
Absolutely.
So
Definitely.
you know, that's the thing with albums is, you know, it can have that ability, and you can always be getting a favorite new song.
Yeah.
That one. So albums never get tiring, and Adele, what she did with the whole not being able to skip songs on Spotify, even though it is, you know, sort of people's free will to just even though I studied philosophy and ethics, who knows if we have free will or not? Probably not. But it's like, we do sort of have free will to skip and stuff like that, but I totally respect her decision, because her album is a story to her, and all the songs are put in an order because it tells a story as a whole. So for people to just, they're not going to get the whole story. They're not going to get what they could be getting if they just listen to 3 songs over and over again from the album.
My favorite album is an album called The Greatest Generation by a band called The Wonder Years. Now, if you listen to that in order, by the time you get to the last song reprises the rest of the album. So it's about 8 minutes long, and it's got elements of all the other songs. If you don't listen to it in order, it doesn't make sense, because you haven't listened to all the songs that make this song what it is. So yeah, it definitely, obviously, our artists put out songs on an album in the order they put them on there for a reason. So I think it's a shame that we don't listen to music like that anymore, like the artist intended us to. And the fact that, like you were saying, a lot of people just releasing odd singles here and odd singles there, they never actually put everything into an album. I think that again has changed how we listen to music.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of artists are just sticking to the releasing singles one by one, and EPs if they're feeling brave. But that is the way that the world seems to be working. But I hope that maybe we can get round to being more physical with things again. We definitely are still, for sure, because people do make vinyls, but and stuff like that. But I do feel like it's more of a marketing thing than a music thing. So one of my favorite artists, Joji, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's kind of more modern, sort of lo-fi ballad sort of type stuff. And I love his music so much. So I went onto his website, and turns out he was selling t-shirts with a free CD, and you had to buy the t-shirt, but you weren't paying for the CD. So it was like, I mean, it's really smart, because, you know, free advertising, you're paying for free advertising.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, you know, the music, you get the music as well. But it was just quite shocking, because it seemed like it was more about the marketing than the music, because if the music is just a secondhand thing,
absolutely,
you can listen to it on your phone, and people don't really, you know, have CD players, or a car is probably the number one place where a CD player would actually be, and now because cars are evolving, there's more Bluetooth and plugging it into your phone. So yeah, it was just shocking. I mean, it's totally understandable, but, and it's very smart, but also
the thing you find with vinyl is a lot of people buy vinyl, probably haven't got a vinyl player, but they like the kind of, it's trendy, I've got a whole collection of vinyl. They probably never unwrapped any of them, but they like the fact they've got a whole collection of vinyl. They're not planning on listening to, I can listen to it on Spotify, but I've got the vinyl. It's definitely becoming more of a thing that you collect, like you collect an ornament. People are collecting vinyls and they're putting them in frames and stuff like that. And I don't know, this feels like a shame that you've got music and it's framed on someone's wall, or it's just sat in a pile just to look cool, because that isn't what music should be about.
I definitely agree to some extent. We have a lot of vinyl in our house. We don't play all of it because my dad likes to collect very precious things from his favorite band, The, and I
Yeah.
love The as well. And vinyls from Echo Belly and stuff, but it does get played around when we have the time because we got a record player right there. And in fact, my dad made a whole shelf,
Wow.
a whole big, like, the shelf is basically our whole dining room.
Oh,
And
wow.
I can show you if you like.
Yeah.
But basically we've created this thing because we're kind of doing our house up, and he's created this whole thing out of like plaster and paint and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All because he wanted to put a record player here.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool.
All because of that. And yeah, it is pretty fun, but it's cool because we get to play vinyl all the time now.
Yeah.
And we also get to play my vinyl, which is cool. That it's like physical and touching. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. I like all the coloured vinyls. You don't seem to see them quite so much anymore.
Yeah.
If they're really expensive, I like all the picture discs and coloured vinyls and all that kind of stuff.
I think maybe I'm still trying to convince a few people. But maybe I will be bringing my album out on colored vinyl because we're thinking of the primary colors. I don't know if they'll match together. We're still thinking about it. But so far, it's difficult to describe because in this album, there's 3 EPs in it.
Okay.
So, because my album is called Love, Life, and Lies. So the first EP is Love, the second EP is Life, third EP Lies. But they're all shot, all 3 of the EPs are shot in different places.
Okay.
So we still need to shoot the photos for this next EP, which is going to be the next song that I release.
Yeah.
But that's going to be in like a sort of dimly lit, sort of reddish alleyway type thing. And the last one was Blue. Yeah. Next to Rutland Water that we shot it in.
Wow.
And the one before that was in a random field, probably trespassed. And that's sort of like orange, yellowish. So we're thinking of maybe the primary colors type thing with the vinyl. Don't know yet. We'll sort it out. But
is everything you do sort of self-funded, or do you just fund yourself? Yeah.
I busk, or I used to, I guess. I haven't busked since like maybe 2 years, 1.5 years, 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year. Because I did it like after lockdown and then lockdown again or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But I think I busked a little bit last summer, maybe.
How does that go? Does that go down quite well? Do you get is it quite positive when you busk?
Yeah, it definitely is. That's where I raise all the stuff. I get paid for gigs and stuff like that, but sometimes. I mean, that is sort of sometimes. But busking is the number one place where I get my money. And that goes down really well, unless it's like a rainy sort of day where it's not very busy in town and you only end up busking for 30 minutes and you get 20 quid because it's it's a bit. But in the summer times when it's nice and warm and everybody's out and people like sitting at cafes and you sit opposite them and you sing songs that they like and that they know, then I shall get back to busking soon, actually, because
do you always busk covers or do you busk originals as well?
Well, I've done that a few times because I play guitar. I play piano as well, but I play guitar and I've busked with my guitar and it just doesn't go down as well for some reason.
Okay.
And I've come to the conclusion, and I busked some of my own songs as well. And since I don't use backing tracks, but one time I got sent the backing tracks to one of my songs because we'd work on the backing track all day and then he'd send it over, and then the next time I go into the studio, then I sing over the top of it.
Yeah.
But I lost my flow. Where's I going with this? Something about busking. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've busked some of my songs before with like a backing track, but and that was fine because it's a backing track and there's a lot of instruments and stuff. But I think that when you busk with guitar, you usually change the key to like match you, and like people will only see you for probably 5 minutes max if they're walking up and down the town. So in that 5 minutes, you really want to connect with them. So if you play a backing track where everybody knows the melody of the backing track and you know, if it's a piano song or if it's a guitar song, rocky song, whatever,
Yeah.
then people can just click with that, and then they'll be like, oh, I'll give you some money.
Oh, absolutely.
But then with guitar, it's like they have to like sit there and work it out, and it's only until you say like a crucial line of the song that they'll know what you're singing, if they do.
Yeah.
So I think, even though personally I'd love to busk with guitar more, because busking with backing tracks is like I can actually play an instrument and I feel a bit useless, especially with my hands. And I just feel a bit strange because I'm not playing anything.
Yeah.
And I feel untalented because I'm like, all I'm doing is singing right now, and I feel like I look stupid.
Yeah.
But to them, I guess, if I get more money, then, you know, if I have to raise funds, I have to raise funds. So I'll just do it. I have to do it the way that raises the most money instead of the way that impresses me most.
Exactly. The thing is, I suppose if you're busking with songs they know, and I suppose you advertise who you are when you busk, do you?
Yeah.
So they'll kind of remember you from hearing something they've known. They're more inclined to then go back and listen to you recorded, remember you because they've heard you sing a cover of whatever, and then maybe go and listen to your other stuff. So
I'd hope so. Anyways, I hope that's the case. I'm not too sure because I don't have like a spy camera on all of them, but
no.
I don't know if they do, but I'm hoping that they do that.
You like to hope that's what they do. Yeah. Do you put covers in your? Sorry. I was going to say, do you do covers in your, like when you do live sets? Do you do covers or do you?
No, I only play my own songs when I'm singing live. So I need to get learning a couple covers again if I'm going to start busking. But yeah, I only, because you don't connect with other people's songs the same way that they connect with the songs. So me singing my own songs live, it really means something to me, and I can put on a show. But when I'm singing Valerie, you know, nobody sings it best than better than the Zootons or Amy Winehouse. But you know, so it's the songs that connect to you the most. So I like playing my own songs because it actually gives me substance rather than
something I've found does sometimes go down well at gigs when I've been to see bands I haven't known. They've been doing all their originals and then they've ended their set on like an ironic cover. So they've been a metal band and they've done a cover of, I don't know, Hit Me Baby One More Time or something. So I think sometimes an ironic cover goes down quite well that you don't expect in a set. But
I think if you don't get a good audience, and I've had my fair share of great audiences, and sometimes it's been a little iffy. But you have to bring them up with you, because if you start just singing your own songs, then they're gonna lose interest if they're not interested in a support act at that time, or they've come a long way, so they just want to hear the main act, or they're just not like in the mood, I guess. But once a group of people aren't in the mood in the audience, people get shy because obviously people conform much more than they think they do. So in an audience, if nobody else is cheering, then like as loud, like very loud, if everyone's just doing that, no one is going to cheer. So that's why when I'm in an audience, I try to make sure to cheer as much as possible if the audience isn't, because it gets other people to cheer. So sometimes if you're not given like a great audience given, if you don't have like an amazing audience who are as interactive as you like them to be, then I think a cover kind of gets them going sometimes. And sometimes I'll have to do that at an open mic. And I run an open mic in Rippingale. And you have to bring it up, and it has to have like a flow, because you can't keep it down. If you sing like a sad song and then an act after you sings 3 sad songs, and it just keeps constant. You have to bring it back up at some point.
I think I think sometimes areas affect the gigs as well. So I went to Teenage Fan Club down here. So I reviewed it down here, and the editor Scott shot it, like did the photography up north. The support band. Now he watched the support band up there and said the audience just weren't interested. There was no, they just weren't interested. But down here, we maybe took a song to get into it, but then we bought into the set completely. So different audiences different areas seem to have different sort of audiences as well. So the Norwich gig, we really got into it. Everyone was they weren't a cheering, they were kind of a folk band, so they weren't kind of a cheering and mosh pitting, but everyone sort of bought into the sound and bought into them. But up there, he said people just didn't look very interested. So I really do think it makes a difference. The thing I get really bothered by at gigs is when you are there watching the support and everyone stands at the bar. Like there's a great big gap between the stage and the people. I always try and stand. I'm obsessed with standing at the front anyway, but I always try and get to the front because I think, you know what, they're playing for us. The least we can do is stand and watch them, not talk amongst ourselves and keep going to the bar.
I think it's really disrespectful, especially when someone like me, who's a 17-year-old teenage girl, if they're pouring their heart out on a stage and then you're shouting at the bar, then I'm getting a bit more sassy on stage. I'm taking notes from Sonia from Echo Belly, which is probably not the best to take notes from, but you know, I'm starting. I've told someone to shut up on stage before, which wasn't great, but they were being so disrespectful.
Yeah.
And they were right next to the stage opposite me and they were shouting and I said, "Can you actually shut up?" And they're like, "Ooh, sorry, teacher." And I was just like, yeah, get out.
I saw a great teacher on Instagram the other day. It said, "I'm sorry, is the band interrupting your conversation?"
Yeah, oh, that's a good one. I'll use that.
So
but it also definitely depends on the day. Because first of all, if it's a holiday, then either there's going to be a ton of people there or there's going to be absolutely no one there. But if it's say a Saturday in London or a Friday, sometimes a Friday, but if it's a Saturday in London, then people are physically coming down. But if it's like a weekday, like a Wednesday in London, then people around that area are going to be coming in because you're not going to come all the way down to London unless you're really that desperate, which I am. But you know, people, it depends on the day because people come down from a very small area, or people will come down from a larger area, and you just get a different vibe from those kind of people, because people who have driven 2 hours to go see a band don't really want to see a support act most of the time, unless they like the support act or unless they're just that kind of person. But people who come down on a Wednesday night to go see a band, they're totally, not all of them, but they're probably willing to stand through support acts and stuff like that.
I don't know if you find it when you're at gigs, when you play, but I find the age of the audience makes a difference as well. I find a younger audience is a lot more respectful than an old, maybe I shouldn't say this, but a younger audience is a lot more respectful than an older audience. Older audiences seem a lot more talking, a lot more kind of boisterous and a lot more disrespectful than the younger audiences tend to get there, and they stand and watch, from my experience. The kind of sort of, particularly like places like the UEA where it's a lot of students. If you go to a gig and it's a lot of students, there's very little pushing and shoving to get to the bar. If you go there and it's mainly older people, they're up and down to the bar the whole set, even for the main bands. But I don't find that so much for the younger audience.
I haven't personally really had that exact experience. It's been different each night because it really does depend on what kind of person you're going to see. I guess. But I've had several experiences where you know, the uni students won't listen to my set or somebody else's set, or you know, older people won't listen. But most of the time, I find that people do listen, and if they're talking, then they do this thing where they're talking and listening. It does depend on the venue sometimes, but for example, I can't give you an example. I don't know why I said that. But sometimes you can have gigs where people will be listening to you, and you can tell they're listening because after you've finished, they will give you a loud clap, and after, you know, they'll come up to you and say, "I love that one song." And you'll be like, "But you were talking all the way through it." And you'll just be a little bit like confused sometimes. But I mean, I try to or at least I say this in interviews. I don't know if I actually do, but I try to keep a very positive head on when assessing audiences, because you can think something, but since you're the one that's on stage and having the bad experience, you don't actually know what's going through other people's minds. So they could be thinking, "I actually love this person, but I'm also with my friend who I haven't seen in a long time," or, you know, "My mom is mad at me, so I'm going to try and make it up to her by, you know, talking to her." So, you know, you can never you can never fully judge and assess an audience like that. So you try to you do it as best as you can, but you have to keep a positive head, because sometimes you are wrong, and that's something that I don't like being very often, but I have to, you have to teach yourself to be wrong, I guess.
I've just had it come up that we've got 5 minutes left. I think I must have booked this till 12. We've got 5 minutes left, so I guess should we wrap up? Is there anything else you wanted to say? I think I've covered everything that I've got written down. So not sure, because I can't edit videos, so the editor's gonna do this. So he's up north. He's moving at the moment. There's various things, so I'm not sure how quickly we'll get this up. So I'm not sure how quickly he'll be able to edit it. But as soon as it's up, we'll let you know. I'll drop you a message and let you know it's up. Or if you wanted to see it before we put it up to make sure you're happy, we can do that.
If you like, send it over when it's done.
Yep.
What were you saying? Plug chains.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
You gas for it.
I'll just
You sit there chatting. It's like.
Yeah. Shall I just plug my latest song?
Go on then.
Talk about it. Okay. So Chains is, you've mentioned it before already, but Chains is my
6.5 minutes long, isn't it?
It is. I'm gonna do a radio edit, but you know, a few radio stations have just played it without saying a thing about it being 6 minutes, and usually they don't do that. So I'm hoping that they think it's a very good song, or they're just giving me a chance. But Chains, even though it is a 6-minute song, I think it's definitely worth a listen. It's one of my favorites, and it's my parents' favorite song. Because at the very end, I think the piano ending is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. But the piano ending for me is crucial, because it slows down, and it's because the song is sort of about drowning, but also being betrayed by someone. It's like a big metaphor. It's like you're slowly and surely drowning, and you can't save yourself, and you don't want to save yourself, and that's just but yeah, Chains, I feel like it has a very elegant melody, but it's also it's sad, but it's also something
very deep. Some very deep words going on. I had listened to it this morning before I did this, and I thought it's very deep, like much beyond your years kind of deep.
I don't know how I do that. People say that I'm sometimes beyond my years with the songwriting stuff, but I've kind of just learned from the best, and I listen to everything, and I kind of I don't really know how to say it better than that, to be fair.
You've listened to everything, listened to the best, and then picked out the bits you like and kind of made it into your style, I suppose.
Kind of, yeah. It's sort of just like if you're feeling an emotion, then you have to put it in your best words as possible. And I will go, unless every word in a sentence that I write is absolutely perfect, then I've finished one of my songs. It's probably going to be called Burn. But it's not released, but still, some of the lines aren't perfect. So there's no way that I'm even considering playing it live until it's absolutely perfect. What I do before I release songs and even record them is make sure that it's absolutely perfect, and I check it over with my dad sometimes, and I just make sure that, does that actually make sense, or did I think it made sense and it actually didn't? But yeah, so Chains is the newly released song. It has a lovely music video shot by my dad, and can be accessed anywhere on my social media, Chloe Lorentzen, blah blah blah. I say that very fast all the time, Chloe Lorentzen, to work on that.
Brilliant. We've got 10 seconds left. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to talk to you too. This is a great conversation. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.